Hey Zedivas, this is SuperZombGBBQ, and today we are going to be covering off the best females in Elite and Hardened tier. This is a series that you have requested in the comment section on Twitter and in my streams almost all the time. And it's something I've done for WrestleMania and SummerSlam tiers so far. Let's not break a tradition for Season 3. We're going to cover off the best females in the Elite and Hardened tier. We're going to do this in a very different format to the last one. The last one, we covered off the best 5 and the worst 5. This time, we're going to cover off the entire list from best to worst. And we're going to start at the bottom, at the worst card, work our way up, go from Hardened, then the best stats and the worst stats, then go on to the Elite cards, worst to best, and then cover off the best stats on there as well. Let's go! Now, just to clarify, this is all based off of stats. This is official stats from the game. This is not saying that they're the best overall cards. For example, Alexa Bliss, incredibly useful, and Becky Lynch, incredibly useful. Maybe not the best cards in the tier, but definitely can be useful in their own right. Also, I want you to let me know what you think of this series in the comment section below, and let me know how hyped you are for the Ultimate cards which will be coming up in the next upload. But let's get into it. Before we do so, like this video, hit the like button as many times as we can. We can go for over 1,000 for the series, that'd be amazing. It'd just be incredible to have your support whilst we go through the Hardened and Elite tiers. So let's get into it right now. Here are the best and worst Hardened cards. Now there are less females in the Hardened tier. Now the females in the Hardened tier, there's also a couple of draws in the female division for the Hardened tier, and we're going to start off with the worst. And the worst, surprisingly, and I say surprisingly because it shouldn't be surprising if you look at previous tiers, but given she's good in the other tier she's in the Ultimate, Nia Jax shows up as the worst card in the Hardened tier, which I'm kind of surprised about. But we move on then to Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, NXT female superstar. She is one of the newer ones that's come onto the roster, maybe coming to the main roster at some point in the near future. She also has a really nice finisher and ability which pops up on the cards when you play as her. So, and most importantly, she's a left arrow. So little left arrows, it just in females across the board. Now moving on from there, one of the most useful cards. So number 4 on the list, so the 4th best in the tier is Alexa Bliss. Also with Carmella, which is here. Well, Carmella has a good set of toughness, speed, and charisma, good overall stats. Alexa Bliss does kill in power and speed. And in other tiers, she is absolutely incredible. Even though, oddly, she misses out in Elite tier. She doesn't appear in Elite tier at all. Moving up to the 3rd best diva, we're talking about Bayley. Bayley has a pretty good set of stats. Doesn't have the best overall stats, although her charisma is pretty high up there. Unfortunately, doesn't even touch number 1. Number 2 actually is shared between Charlotte and Becky Lynch. Here's Becky Lynch overall, and she has one of the best stats in the tier, and you also have Charlotte there as well, which I believe this was one of the pictures she had done when she had the Divas Championship, when the female division was called the Divas and they didn't have the new red and white championship and whatnot. So there are the worst to best females in the Hardened tier. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you've got any of these pro'd, let me know. Whether you have a personal favourite in the tier, that would be amazing. But as promised, we're now going to cover off the best and worst stats overall. The worst overall stats on a Hardened female belong for power and toughness to Liv Morgan, and for speed and charisma to Nia Jax. That's nice and simple. Basically, if you don't want to be having a power and toughness match with Liv Morgan, and you don't want to be having a speed and charisma match with Nia Jax. Though it's not surprising while she has no speed and charisma, because while she's a big girl, she does have a very, very unique moveset, and she's going to be possibly one of the bigger and better females going forward in the future, and hopefully, possibly, she might even be a women's champion if they can get the belts off of Sasha Banks and Charlotte. Talking in December 2016. Maybe we'll still be in the same situation December 2017. But let's move on to the Elite females. And the Elite females, the list is very similar, but there's a lot of new superstars and returning superstars on the Elite female list. So let's get into it right now. So let's look at the best overall Elite females. I'm going to start at the bottom with a returning superstar female, which is Summer Rae, who unfortunately again it just, her stats are freaking awful. I only realized how bad she was when I pro'd her and then put her against some of the other cards. Her charisma, even though you level her up with max tokens in it, still doesn't reach some other normal cards in charisma, and you don't even touch them at all, which is just mind-boggling. But anyway, Summer Rae is a card there. If you've got it as a pro, it's decent at this point. Then move on to Natalya. Now, Natalya has a decent set of stats, but she does unfortunately lose out in one of them very, very, very badly. And she is the 8th worst female in Elite tier. Moving on to a new entry, a mysterious entry in the world of NXT. She turned up, she had her debut, and ever since she's become a more and more important superstar to NXT, and that is Ember Moon. One of the most useful cards. A lot of people are using her in Exhibition, in King of the Rings and whatnot. Other than that, there's no other left arrow cards other than Naomi, which is the next one we're going to go on to afterwards. Naomi and Ember Moon have got both very different stat sets, so they're both incredibly useful. Given that the top card in the tier is also a Riot Arrow, which just means that some of the stats you look at them sometimes, maybe the cards aren't the best in the tier, but Jesus Christ, some of them are incredibly useful. Moving on from here, we go on to Naomi, a decent power charisma card, left arrow as well. As I mentioned, Ember Moon, incredibly useful. But moving on to number 5 on the list of the top elite females, and that is a returning Paige, even though she's not been seen in 90 odd days. So Paige is back. She's got a decent set of toughness, but realistically speaking, she does kind of get crushed. She's mid, not really one of the good cards, but she's not bad either. She's alright. But we're going to move on then to another returning superstar, something that missed out SummerSlam tier completely, and that is Nikki Bella. Nikki Bella has a decent set of power, great charisma as well. She's one of those cards that has decent enough charisma that when you level up Summer Rae entirely as a pro, she doesn't even reach Nikki Bella's charisma stats. Just absolutely crazy. Moving on to the top 3 then, and you can probably imagine, although I'm amazed that there is no Bayley card in the elite tier. Given she's one of the top superstars on Raw, let alone top females on Raw, it's absolutely insane. But we're going to cover off the first female, and that is Becky Lynch. There's the 3rd best card in the tier. She also has one of the best stats in the tier, which we'll cover off in a moment. But moving on to the 2nd, and that is surprisingly Charlotte. Yes, Charlotte is one of the best cards in the tier, but doesn't quite have the overall stats to beat the best and the boss, Sasha Banks, who is number 1. In fact, it's crazy to say this, but Sasha Banks beats Big Show in 4 stats. Mental. Let's talk about the best stats then. I've already revealed one of them. Her charisma is off the charts. Sasha Banks has got the best charisma, but who has the worst charisma? That belongs to Summer Rae, as you probably guessed from what I was saying about her charisma previously. Even though one of her best stats is charisma, it's just... Anyway, worst overall elite tier stats. We've already covered off the charisma for the best and the worst. The power goes to Ember Moon as the worst power in the tier. The worst toughness goes to Summer Rae. She's got 2 of the worst overall stats. And I mentioned earlier on, Natalya has one of the worst stat points on the tier, and that's because she does fail a lot in speed. She's the worst in speed in the elite tier. But let's move on to the best stats now. This is dominated, even though the overall card that she has is the 2nd best in the tier. Charlotte kills in power and toughness. She is ferocious. She literally levels out the entire of the competition. She makes Nikki Bella look like a pussycat. So basically, Charlotte, if you got her, she's good. And she also, I believe, free stats, or is almost on the verge of free statting Sasha Banks as well. So Charlotte not the best, but one of the best cards in this tier still. Moving on to speed, Becky Lynch takes this, even though speed is not her best overall stat. Maybe should have put Alexa Bliss in there. Just saying. And then we have the best overall charisma, which is Sasha Banks. Already mentioned it already. So let me know what you think in the comment section below, whether you've got either the hardened or the elite cards. Let me know if you've got any of those, pro'd in the comment section below. Remember to smash that like button, leave a like on the video. Also remember to subscribe using the link just down here, and I will see you all very soon. Also remember to check the description below, and a little eye that pops up just over here, because that has links to all of the other best and worst of the tiers. I will see you all soon. One last thing before we go, and that is to sleep!